So how to print hello world using Python? The same slides I use for my classroom session also, but this session I want to be brief while doing the stuff. So I'll be doing on the PyCharm directly. We'll be taking use of this particular plane on the bottom one where it shows console. So for to print anything on Python, the command is print square bracket, I'm sorry, normal bracket, then type hello world. Once you hit enter, it's going to print the output directly on screen. You can say hello world, comma, this is my first Python code. Hit enter, it's going to print it. If you're going to miss a codes in it, for example, I start with a bracket, I add the bracket. All your strings has to be encoded with either double quotes or single quote. If I type like this, you cannot get the output. It will not work. So it's important that you have quotes, double quotes or single quotes at the start or end of these particular string lines. So see, I'm using single quotes, hitting enter, it's going to print it. Doesn't matter what codes you're using, but unless you use the right code. For example, you want to print something like this. Manoj told that Manoj told I am sick. So when you want to repeat something someone told it already, so kindly use two different types of codes. Single code for the information what Manoj gave, and double code to cover the print. So there it goes. Manoj told I am sick. This is how you print anything with the help of Python. Let's continue. Let's talk about variables. What are variables? Variables are the memory locations of a Python. So variables, you can might have heard this word when you talk about Java, C, C++, anywhere. So variables are something which can store a value in it. For example, here my age is a variable. I'm saying age is equal to 20. Let me open my PyCharm side by side so that I can, it will be easy for you guys to follow up. So I'm going to say age is equal to 40. So what is age now? Age is a variable which stored something called 20. So if I type age here, hit enter, it's going to say 20. If you would like to save any string like this, my name is Vishnu. You cannot store like this because this is a string. When you're going to store a string into a variable, it's always recommended to use double quotes like this. Now if you type age, it's going to print my name is Vishnu, right? When you want to store age and name both in a single line, for example, so before that, when you want to store different age on a single line, for example, you can see Bob, John, and Steve. I say 20, 30, and 40. These are the respective ages of Bob, John, and Steve. Hit enter. Type Bob is going to say 20. Type John is going to say 30. Type Steve is going to say 40. This is how you store a series of variable with a series of values in it. What if you want to store something like name and the age at the same time? For example, I want to save name as well as age into a single line command. So your name has to be quoted in the double quotes, and age you can type as it is, 28 or 29, whatever it is. Hit enter. If you type name, it's going to say Vishnu. If you type age, it's going to say 28. Fine. That is my recorded session. I don't want to go with recorded session because it's not interactive as I thought. So if I play this, it's going to show you same thing what I have showed you guys now. I can simply say, John, see, what if I call it 24 or integers? Right, don't worry about that. I'm going to take it live. That's more interactive. That's a report I got from my students. So we know how to print hello world. We know what is variable. If yes, please type in yes. If no, type in no. These are the very basics of Python. Just don't think that, hey, what I want to do with these things? How are these things related to my networking course or networking set? Guys, these are very basic things. Don't worry that, don't think that it's very easy also at the same time. Don't think that this guy is teaching something which is not useful. These are very useful because we are starting from scratch. Thanks, God. So Section 3, we're going to talk about arithmetic operations. See, arithmetic operations means what? Plus, minus, divided by, something like that, right? Arithmetic operations with Python is very, very easy. I mean, it's damn easy. I'll show you how it works. For example, I want to say, I want to have a value a plus b, that a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20. These are the variables. I want to find out the what is a plus b. You can simply say a plus b on the console. It's going to print out that. For example, you can see here a is equal to 10. It says, okay, now what is a? 10. Awesome. If it says a is equal to 20, sorry, I'm saying b is equal to 20. What is b? 20. Now, if I want to find out what is a plus b, very simple. Just type a plus b. That's all. It shows 30. If I type a minus b, it's going to say minus 10. If I type a into b, it's going to say 200. A divided by b, anything. A the power of b. So, like you can type in almost anything with the simple these commands. Now, that's how you work with arithmetic operations with the integers. Now, what if you want to work with some strings? Again, whenever you are storing a strings into the what is it variable, you have to use double quotes. For example, I'm saying first name is equal to, I'm going to say my name is Vishnu. I'll type Vishnu here. I'm going to say last name is equal to, my last name is Vardhan. If I say first name here, is going to say Vishnu, right? If I say last name here, is going to print what? Vardhan. What if I want to add these two things, these two things, and I want to print out? I'll say first name plus last name. Last name is going to say Vishnu Vardhan. Now, what if you want to be more clear, adding a space between them? You can add a space by simply doing double quotes, space double quotes, again and plus symbol. So you're adding a space between them, right? Instead of space, you can also type anything you want. For example, like this. It's going to print out those things. Adding a space is such easy. Now, what if you want to subtract two strings? Is it possible to subtract two strings? No. We cannot use subtraction or subtraction to minus two strings. We cannot do that. String supports only addition and multiplication. How multiplication? For example, you want to type Vishnu or the first name two times. I'll say two times, two cross or two into first name. If I do this, I want to say it's printing Vishnu Vishnu. I want to print like 10 times. I'll print like this. So that's what I clearly mentioned here in this particular PPT. You can use multiplication with strings. You can use addition with strings, but you cannot use minus. If you try to use, it's going to say it's not working. So string supports only plus and multiplication. String do not supports any kind of division, percentage, anything else. It supports only plus and multiplication. Again, if you try to multiply two strings, it is not possible. If I say first name into last name, it will say, nah, I cannot do that. Doesn't make any sense. You cannot multiply two strings. You can multiply a string with an integer only. Good? Perfect. Same lab, it's a recorded session. We can ignore this one. Let's talk about strings. Now, what is strings? String is just nothing but a set of characters. A word is called string in the Python language. Of course, it's called same in all languages because we are focusing only on Python. I'll be repeatedly saying Python, Python, Python. So what if I want to store a set of strings? For example, I want to print out, I want to store welcome to network Rhinos classes into something called sentence. You know what is sentence, right? Sentence is a variable. These are the strings on the right hand side. Let's store this. I'm going to say sentence is equal to, I'll say welcome to network Rhinos classes. If I say sentence, it's going to print out welcome to network Rhinos classes. Now with this string, you can also do some additional steps. For example, you can do something called string indexing. or string slicing. In string slicing or string indexing, you can say something like, I want to see what is my first character here. What is the first character of the entire sentence? I'll say, well, sentence in square bracket, I'll type 0. It's going to print out W, informing me that, hey, this is the first character. Your sentence always starts with index number 0. So, like, the much, okay. This is my index number 0, index number 1, index number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My space is also an index number 7. Now, if I try to type sentence and if I type tell what is the character in the index number 7, it's going to say space, nothing is there. Now, what if I want to, I'm not sure about the entire sentence length number, but even though I want to print out what is there in the last value. So for that, you can use negative values. If I say -1, it's going to print out the last one. If I say -2, it's going to say last second value. So indexing happens positively from the left to right side, and indexing happens negative numbers from the right to left side. Now, what is index slicing? String slicing, I'm sorry, it's not index, it's string slicing. String slicing means you're going to slice this entire string into different chunks. For example, I want to print out something like this. I want to say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to print out the first 6 characters only. So in that case, I can say, hey sentence, kindly print out starting from 0 to 6th character. It's going to say, well, I'm sorry, 7th character. You have to always give +1 because it's less than 7, not less than equal to 7. So less than 7 means 6. Because it missed typing E here, because I wrote 6, which is less than 6, not equal to 6. If I type 0:7, I'm saying, hey sentence, print out starting from 0 to index number less than 7, which is 6th index number. Very easy. You can also use negative numbers. -1 you can use. It's going to say entire thing. I was going to miss typing the last one character, which is S. Okay, all good. Let's talk about placeholders in string. See, placeholder is something which is used to replace a particular string. You can replace something with something else with the placeholders. I'll give you the real-time example also. Those who are already working as a network engineers or those who have already knowledge about CCNA and basic stuffs, they can understand those things. For others, let's concentrate on the normal thing. I'm going to say name is equal to Bob. And if I say details is equal to is 15 years old. If I say name, if I want to print out something like Bob is 15 years old, I can simply store like this. I can type name and details. It's going to print out Bob is 15 years old. Now, what if I want to replace that particular Bob's name every time? In that case, what I can do, I can type details is equal to in the percentage, sorry, the colons. I can say S here is 15 years old. Okay, I can say details percentage name. Carefully look into this command. My percentage S has been replaced by something called name. Now what is name here? Bob. So what it's printed? Bob is 15 years old. Right? If I try to replace from something like Vijay, you cannot do that because you have to call Vijay somewhere else as a variable. You can give only variable after the percentage symbol. Perfect? Yeah. Let's check out some use case scenarios of this thing. How do I do this case now? 1 minute. Let me think. No, as of now, we cannot do. I'm sorry. We'll do later because we have to finish list for that. I haven't. Okay, there you go. List. Let's talk about what is list. List. So now, what is list? You guys know, right? List something where you which you make whenever you go for shopping, you want to purchase something, you create a list. Same is what happens with Python. A list in Python is what something where you can store multiple items. For example, I create a list called shop list and I say apples, oranges, bananas, and chocolates. If I call shop list, it's going to print out the same values. Make sure the list starts with a square bracket and ends with a square bracket. You cannot use this bracket. What are the bracket called? You cannot use this bracket. It's wrong. You have to use square bracket. And each and every string value, you have to use quotation symbol, double quotation. Okay? And every item has to be separated with the help of an comma. Right? Perfect. Let's do a small lab on this. I can create same one. Shop list is equal to, I'll say, let's not complicate. I'm going to print out same thing. Apples. I'll say oranges. I'll say bananas. Bananas. Then I'll say something called chocolates. Perfect. Now, if I type shop list, it's going to say shop list. It's going to say that I have apples, oranges, bananas, and chocolates. Now, with list, you can also use indexing. Indexing in strings work like on the base of the characters. Indexing in list works based on the item value. For example, I want to print out who is there in the first item. I can say shop list 0. 0 means apples. 1 oranges, 2 bananas, chocolates 3, then it goes on. If you want to see who is in second place, I'll say oranges. Who is in third place? It's going to say chocolates. Again, you can use something called slicing. Slicing in a list work very similar to that particular strings. I want to print out item number 0, which is apples, to 2. Item number 2 is going to be a less than 2 symbol again. So it will be apples and oranges. 0 and 1, not 2. If you want to check till 2, in that case you have to give 3, because again it's less than 3, not equal to less than 3. Good? They are good with that. Now with this particular list, you can do some additional things. You can add or append certain things with the list information. So for example, I want to add something called blueberries in the list, which I missed. You can simply type shop list dot. You have to use a keyword called append. Append with square brackets and type blueberry. Hit enter. I'm sorry. Is there some issue? Yeah, I hope. Yeah, I should not use the square brackets there. So if I check shop list now, I see blueberries added there. Let me quickly fix my PPT. Okay, fine. All good. Now this is how you append a value. Now what if you want to delete or replace something? First I will show you how to delete it. The command is delete, then type shop list and say which index number you want to delete. For example, I want to delete oranges. I'll type 1 here, hit enter. That's all, it went off. See, orange is gone. Now what if you want to replace something? Replace bananas with oranges now. For replacing, I can simply say shop list. For banana, the index number is 1. I'm going to say index number 1 is equal to oranges, not bananas. So if I type shop list, it's going to print out oranges instead of bananas here. Awesome. Similarly, you can figure out the length of a shop list. Just type length of shop list. It's going to say number of counts, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Do not think that's going to print out 3 because it starts with 0. No, it's not like that. Those who already know networking concepts and all, you guys know, right? For VLAN numbers, it starts with 0. IP address starts with 0. 0 is also a number for it. That's why it shows 4 here. It means 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. This thing we'll talk about this tomorrow. So anybody have any questions? Or else not tomorrow do. Let's finish it up. Dictionary is a continuation of list only. See, list, you know, right? In list you have a certain items without any proper meaning to it. So, but dictionary will have a meaning for each items in it. Dictionaries are has to be represented in this format. A name, a variable name, for example, is called dictionary name. It has to be represented by a curly brackets, a value, a respective, I'm sorry, an item, respective value, an item, respective value, an item, respective value. So here I'm going to print out the marks or mark score by the student's age, for example. Let's make it simple. I'm going to say students is equal to, in curly braces, I'm saying Bob's age is 12. Good. I'm going to say Steve age is, make sure you put double quotes, not the, I'm sorry, colon, double quotes or colon, not the equal to symbol here. Initially, when I was new to Python, I do this mistake normally, but now it's not. So we can say 30, anything, hit enter. If you want to print out the age of Bob, you cannot simply type Bob here. It won't work out. You have to say to students in the bracket, in this, what is this? Quotes, double quotes, you have to say Bob. Okay. If I remove this, hit enter, there's an issue. If I remove this, if I simply type this one, that's an issue. If I replace my square bracket with this particular bracket, that's an issue. So you have no options apart from typing or using the square bracket. Fine, good. So same thing, whatever you use in list, you can use in dictionaries also, like deleting, length, everything. Okay. That's all, guys. If you have any question till this, please ask me.